So, as you can probably see, I'm filling in Ms. Kusama's shapes in the portrait. Instead of just focusing on her figure, on the figure in the center, I'm filling in her shapes, her gardens, her circles, her eyes, the things that are most prominent as I see it in her work. And what I've got to remember to do is to make the shapes and the lines inexact. She's a very loose painter. She's a very loose illustrator, meaning she doesn't hold her brush and say, oh, this line is the most important line I will ever make, even though each line is important to the overall rhythm of her work, to express how she feels. Each line is important, but I think what I mean to say is it is most important that the lines are inexact, because as I've said in other videos, that's where the magic lies, is in the inexactness and in the imperfections. So, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I've been too afraid to pronounce her name that I might pronounce it incorrectly. But I'm going to try. So in painting Ms. Kusama, please forgive me if I said it wrong. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways, like so many words. Everyone has their own way of saying things. But so as with Ms. Kusama's work, I'm trying to keep my lines imprecise. I paint differently than she does. She lays her work on the table, because it's usually, her work from what I've seen is like 5 by 5 or 6 by 6 possibly. I'm not really sure. But anyway, she lays it down on the table. I can't work that way, although it would probably help to reflect her better. It still is not my way of painting. And so I still have to, even though I'm doing a portrait of her, I have to also do it my way. So I'm adding details that reflect her work, but I won't be doing all the details today because I didn't do the proper research to see more of her shapes and to understand them and to take them in and to feel them. And that's really important, is to feel the person, feel the work, not just do a depiction of, but to feel the work, feel the importance of this person. Now, on her traditional dress, her show dress, her Kusama dress, she wears a red, like a red tunic, but almost with clown sleeves, where they come out. They're pleated out, but she has dots either printed on them or sewn on, and I've seen both. So although the sewing, when the dots are sewn on, it's done well, I prefer to show the stitching so that it fits in with the rest of the painting. So that's one thing I'm adding right now. I'm filling the background with her shapes, her eyelashes, her gardens, everything that is her, but my grass is enough. But I'm also adding a bit of me. And by just suggesting uneven stitching, I'm pulling the rest of the painting in. And just like Kusama's work, this is gonna take me a little bit. I think she paints faster than I do, though. I think she paints pretty darn fast. It appears we have the same work ethic. and about 35, 40 years between us. Hope she has the same work ethic. Or it doesn't matter how you feel. If your life is your art, if your life is your artwork, if that's what you were born to do, then that's what you show up to do every single day. If your life purpose is to go to lunch and go shopping, that's another matter. But if you were put on this earth to make art, and you know it, no matter what that art is, you hold a great responsibility. And you have to honor that responsibility, not make excuses. I got an email from someone who said that she was pretty put out by a couple of comments I had made about people who don't dedicate themselves to their work. And she misunderstood. She thought I was saying you should quit your job and, dedicate every day, all day to your work. Well, you can't do that if you've got a family and if you have a good job and if your artwork isn't selling yet. And, we're working on getting me there, but I'm not quite there. I happen to have the opportunity to get up every day and come here and paint, only because I was so badly injured on my last job. I can't take a 9-to-5 job. I can't do anything else. I actually have some very serious injuries that have led to an illness called RSD-CRPS, and I don't know what days I'll be able to walk, what days I won't. But only on the days when I'm having seizures and I can't see particularly well, that's the only day I allow myself to stay home and lay in bed. I have no choice. I can't see. I can barely stand or breathe. I have trouble breathing. So those days, and they're fairly rare, so I don't allow it to take over. But if I had a 9-to-5 job, if I could work 40 hours a week, can you bet I'd be there. But I'd also be doing this. I was a single mom. I held up to 2 full-time jobs. And I still did this. I was still painting. I was still in shows. So my poor friend, who was defending her friend as an artist, because he has a family, and he works, but he also dedicates as much time out of his day as he can to his artwork, misunderstood that I was belittling someone who was fortunate enough to have a job, and that's absolutely not true. What I get angry with, and I'm incredibly incensed by, are the healthy people who have no children, and they call themselves artists, but they're so busy decorating their lives with shopping and antiquing and visiting and dining, and I find it insulting that they would bother to call themselves artists. Because as a single mom, working 1, 2 full-time jobs or a full-time job and a bunch of part-time jobs, I still did this. This is my life. This is the only reason I have made it this far in life. Well, that, and I love my son, even though blah, blah, blah. But this is the only thing. This is the only thing that's been with me my whole life. This is it. This has been in my heart. My whole life. Just like Ms. Kusama. her whole life. She happens to be much braver than I am about it. She left her home in Japan to go to New York. For her art. Unfortunately, it didn't even dawn on me that that was a possibility. It didn't dawn on me that anyone could get up and go to New York. You don't need an invitation. You don't have to have the right shoes. You don't have to know the right people. You can just go there. And this woman said, I've had enough of this crap in Japan, and went to New York. That is ballsy. Now she's, as most people know, she was in a mental institution. She was, in my estimation, completely heartbroken by the weight of fighting. Went back to Japan, exhausted. Oh shit, ow. Exhausted. And still needing to paint, still needing to work. But she was hospitalized. This is just what I understand, that she was hospitalized and has maintained that lifestyle of work, exhaustion. Work, exhaustion. So she's smart enough to be staying in a place where she feels safe. She's staying in a hospital. So that she doesn't hurt herself, because people have told her she's not worth it for so long. That's what's embedded in her head. And that is a shame. When I was in high school, when I was in elementary school, I wanted to take woodworking and mechanics, and girls weren't allowed to. And I fought, and my parents fought, and they wouldn't allow me to take woodshop, because girls don't take woodshop. Then when I was in high school, I signed up for drafting, and girls don't take drafting. But I ended up being the first girl in my in my school district's history to take drafting. I had the crap beaten out of me almost every day. I was threatened. I had stools thrown at me in class by the boys. I had my ribs broken. I was shoved into lockers. And that's pretty much been the fight ever since, is please just allow me to do this thing that I love, that I can't stop doing. Please accept me. Please accept my work. And when I look at her face, there's a very large part of me that understands and there's a very large part of me that knows This woman is braver than I will ever be. And so, out of deep respect for this very, very, very brave woman who made my world, who had effects on my world, you know, trickling down, I need to make sure that I respect her. I respect her image. I respect her thoughts. I respect her loose brushstrokes. So I'm going to go back to making her lines and working in her colors and trying to understand how she feels and pulling the work from the inside out. So I end up with a portrait that is of Kusama, not of me. So much, maybe a little. But when you see it, you feel Kusama. All right. Ciao.